Welcome my friends, Evan Gray here. Thank you for joining me for this episode. This one is a little bit stressful, but let's roll the intro and get right into it. I am in Gallup, New Mexico. I've driven all the way from Bartow, Florida. It took me about 4 days to get here, and I broke down last night. It was too dark for me to film, so I'm filming this morning, and I'm over at a mechanic. And it's a truck breakdown. Let me explain what's going on. It's basically two things going on. One is a massive oil leak underneath. I've used 2 gallons of oil to get this far. It is just leaking oil like crazy underneath the engine. So I want to get that looked at by a mechanic. And point number 2 is that the fuel pump that I put on, brand new fuel pump less than a month ago, it's still under warranty, just completely died. It just went out, it's not running, 0 fuel pressure. I don't even know how the engine is running, but I managed to limp all the way over here, and so I'm having a mechanic look at it this morning. I'm at J&J Truck Service here. This is a mechanic shop here in Gallup, New Mexico, and they specialize in the big 18-wheelers as well as all sorts of other commercial trucks and buses and things like that, like you see over here. So my mechanic down in Florida told me that the oil leak that I'm having right now is coming from a thing called a tappet cover on the side of the engine. It's very similar to a valve cover on a gasoline engine. It goes along the side and the top of the block, but right on top of that is the fuel injector pump and the air intake. So it takes about 6.6 hours shop time to do this. So I was quoted about $700 to do that, plus a diagnosis on the fuel pump, which he figured that was less than an hour. They were able to work me in right away, even though they had a 4-day wait. They put me in the shop within about 15 minutes, and they had 3 guys crawling underneath there. It was remarkable how quickly they got in there and diagnosed it. They figured out first what was going on with the fuel pump. Let me show you that. Back here in the corner there's a mess of wires, and right here this red wire is for the fuel pump. Now you can see the repair that they did. They reconnected this wire. Now right here where you see this connection, the new connection, which is a solid good connection, the old connection was quite different. It was one of these gizmos that's sort of a Y connector, and this had failed. Apparently these are fairly common failures. So that fix took maybe 15-20 minutes. It was really fast, and at the same time he was fixing that, the other 2 guys were figuring out where my oil leak came from, and they were looking at the tappet cover and crawling underneath and using flashlights and mirrors on sticks and all sorts of other tools, and they found the leak, and it was not the tappet cover but right above it. Let me show you that. Back over here where you see this red wire going down is where the fuel injector pump is, and if you look on the back of the fuel injector pump, and I'll try to get in there with the camera, can't really see it very well, but let me describe it to you. The back side where it connects to the block, and right in that area, that's where the pump sits on there and is connected with some bolts. Previous owner or the previous owner's mechanic, or maybe the one in the same, I don't know. This is pretty messed up. But they took a whole bunch of silicone caulk and just caked it on there. It's probably 3/4 of an inch thick, all the way around an area about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long around that seal, trying to seal it up, and the oil is just pumping out of that area. So that's definitely where it's at. This shop here is able to fix it, but they want about 3 or 4 days, and it's quite a bit more expensive. They're recommending replacing the entire fuel injection pump system, which is about $1,500 for a new one, or sending it out for 2 to 3 days to get it rebuilt, which is about $500, plus labor costs for all of that. So their recommendation was to just continue on to my next stop, which was originally Phoenix. I'm now going to change that. So I've decided to change my next location. Instead of going to Phoenix to get the solar panels like I was going to do, I'm going to actually head to Las Vegas. Why Las Vegas? Let me explain that. I'm not sure if I've mentioned in previous videos that I actually used to live in Las Vegas. I lived there for almost 17 years with my family. So my brother and my parents live there. My parents have since moved away up to Washington State, but my brother still lives there. Now, I've not really talked to my brother for a long time for really minor reasons. They're just sort of stupid reasons anyway, but I guess for all these years I've been hesitant to reach out to him, and apparently he's been hesitant to reach out to me. So my sister recently recommended that I go and meet up with my brother and have him look at the truck and the mechanical stuff. Now, my brother is a mechanic and has been a mechanic since he was a teenager in shop class. He just excels at that stuff. So I am headed to Las Vegas to have my brother help me out and look at this truck. So that's what's going on. I would like to give 2 thumbs up to J&J here. This auto service, this repair shop for trucks is just absolutely mind-blowing. Number 1, how quickly they got me in to work on my truck. Number 2, how honest they were with me. My bill walking away was $65. I was quoted $700, and within an hour I walked out the door, $65. Not only did they correctly diagnose and find the oil leak instead of where I thought it was probably, they also fixed the fuel pump and got me back on the road. So I just have to say, this is fantastic. I sort of wish that this shop or this mechanic could follow me around and handle all of my repairs. No offense intended to Fisher Tire down in Bartow. Those guys are really great and honest mechanics as well. But these guys were quite a bit faster and really amazing on how they worked with me on the price, and just I didn't ask them to reduce the price to that. They just did it. So that was absolutely amazing. Anyway, so I have rented a hotel here in Gallup thinking that I was going to be here for 2 or 3 days getting repairs, and I'm just going to take some downtime to get recentered, work on taxes, and relax before hitting the road again. But truck is running great, and so that's awesome. So that's all I have for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Savor the moment, and I'll see you in a future video.